close, closer than, the closest. Close, closer than, the closest. Nice, nicer than, the nicest. Nice, nicer than, the nicest. Fine, finer than, the finest. Loose, looser than, the loosest. Loose, looser than, the loosest. Big, bigger than, the biggest. Thin, thinner than, the thinnest. Thin, thinner than, the thinnest. Fat, fatter than, the fattest. Fat, fatter than, the fattest. Hot, hotter than, the hottest. Hot, hotter than, the hottest. Happy, happier than, the happiest. Happy, happier than, the happiest. Crazy, crazier than, the craziest. Lazy, lazier than, the laziest. Funny, funnier than, the funniest. Cheap, cheaper than, the cheapest. Cheap, cheaper than, the cheapest. Clean, cleaner than, the cleanest. Clean, cleaner than, the cleanest. Dark, darker than, the darkest. Dark, darker than, the darkest. Small, smaller than, the smallest. Small, smaller than, the smallest. Expensive, more expensive than, the most expensive. Expensive, more expensive than, the most expensive. Beautiful, more beautiful than, the most beautiful. Beautiful, more beautiful than, the most beautiful. Famous, more famous than, the most famous. Famous, more famous than, the most famous. Patient, more patient than, the most patient. Patient, more patient than, the most patient. Bad, worse than, the worst. Bad, worse than, the worst. Good, better than, the best. Good, better than, the best. Far, farther than, further than, the farthest, the furthest. Far, farther than, further than, the farthest, the furthest. My house is bigger than yours. My house is the biggest of all. Robert is more handsome than Kevin. Robert is the most handsome guy in the school.